a Japanese mother sits quietly beside her child. No flashing educational toys, no tablet, no expensive genius baby program. Just conversation, real food, physical closeness, and small daily responsibilities. Yet somehow, Japan has consistently ranked among the world's highest-performing countries in mathematics, literacy, education, and cognitive health for decades, not for one generation, across millions of children. And researchers increasingly believe the foundation may begin much earlier than most people imagine, before preschool, before kindergarten, before a child even says their first word. In fact, some scientists believe the process begins during pregnancy itself. Tonight, I want to show you 4 Japanese parenting habits researchers from Kyoto University, the University of Tokyo, Harvard, MIT, and other major institutions believe may shape emotional regulation, focus, language development, and long-term cognitive performance. And honestly, one of these habits still feels almost impossible for modern parents to tolerate. Habit number 4. They support brain development before birth. Most people think intelligence begins after a child is born. But neuroscience says the brain begins developing long before birth. And Japanese pregnancy traditions have quietly emphasized something modern science now strongly supports. Nutrition and stress regulation during pregnancy matter enormously. Researchers from the University of Tokyo studying maternal nutrition and child development found strong links between prenatal nutrition and later cognitive performance in children. Traditional Japanese diets during pregnancy are often rich in fish, seaweed, fermented foods, minerals, and omega-3 fatty acids like DHA. And according to researchers at Oxford University, DHA is one of the most important building materials for the developing brain. The fetal brain grows at an astonishing speed during pregnancy. Millions of neural connections form before a baby is ever born. And without enough nutritional support, those systems cannot develop efficiently. But nutrition is only part of the story. Researchers at Harvard's Center on the Developing Child found that chronic maternal stress during pregnancy may influence the baby's developing stress response systems before birth. High cortisol exposure over long periods may affect emotional regulation and attention systems later in life. And this is where Japanese culture becomes fascinating. Pregnancy is often treated as a protected emotional period. Slower routines, family support, less pressure to bounce back, more emphasis on calm environments and maternal care, and maybe that matters more than we realize. Because before children learn language, before they learn mathematics, the nervous system is already learning safety. Habit number 3. They build language before school ever begins. A baby cannot speak yet, but the brain is already absorbing language at extraordinary speed. And Japanese parenting often treats babies like active listeners from the very beginning. Parents explain daily routines, describe emotions, narrate meals, talk during walks, talk during bathing, talk constantly. Not heavily simplified language, real communication. And researchers believe this may strongly influence cognitive growth later. One of the most famous child development studies in history, conducted by Betty Hart and Todd Risley, found that by age 3, some children had heard millions more words than others. By kindergarten, those language differences were already strongly connected to academic performance. Vocabulary, attention, reading ability. Even long-term school outcomes. And newer neuroscience research from MIT found that conversational interaction activates critical brain regions involved in language processing and cognitive development. Not passive listening, not television, conversation, human interaction. And Japanese children often grow up surrounded by constant low-stress verbal interaction from infancy onward. Researchers from Kyoto University studying early childhood communication patterns have also emphasized the importance of responsive parent-child interaction in emotional and cognitive development. In simple terms, the brain grows through relationship, And maybe that's why Japanese parenting often feels quieter, slower, and more verbally connected than many modern environments. Because language is not just teaching communication, it's organizing the brain itself. Habit number 2. They protect emotional regulation early. In many modern cultures, independence is introduced extremely early. Sleep alone, self-soothe, separate quickly. But many Japanese families approach infancy differently. Babies are carried constantly, held close to the body, comforted quickly when distressed, and co-sleeping remains common far longer than in many Western countries. There's even a Japanese concept called ame, the peaceful feeling of depending safely on another person's care. Now, to outsiders, this level of closeness can sometimes look excessive. But developmental neuroscience suggests something important. Researchers at Harvard found that stable responsive caregiving helps regulate cortisol, strengthen emotional control, and support healthier brain architecture during early childhood. In other words, children learn best when the nervous system feels safe first. And perhaps that's why many Japanese toddlers appear unusually calm in public settings. Not because they're naturally more disciplined, but because emotional regulation may have been practiced through closeness from the very beginning. Habit number 1. They trust children with real responsibility. This is the habit that shocks outsiders most. Japanese children are often trusted with responsibility at surprisingly young ages. Walking short distances alone, serving lunch at school, cleaning classrooms together, running errands, using public transportation independently. And to many outsiders, it feels unbelievable. But researchers increasingly believe responsibility itself may help build confidence and executive functioning. Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck found that children develop stronger resilience and long-term learning ability when challenge is normalized instead of avoided. Long-term research from the University of Minnesota discovered that children given responsibilities early in life were more likely to become confident and self-sufficient adults later. And maybe this reveals something uncomfortable about modern parenting. Sometimes, protecting children from every difficulty also protects them from developing capability. Because every time a child solves a problem independently, the brain strengthens pathways linked to decision-making, confidence, adaptability, and emotional regulation. And maybe Japanese parenting communicates one powerful message again and again. I trust you. Not perfectly, not recklessly, but gradually. And eventually, children begin believing it too. So, are Japanese children genetically smarter? Modern science does not support that idea. But many Japanese children are raised inside environments that may strongly support brain development from the earliest stages of life. During pregnancy, during infancy, during language development, during emotional growth, before school even begins. And maybe intelligence is not created by one giant breakthrough moment. Maybe it's slowly built, through thousands of tiny daily experiences, repeated over many years, the way adults speak to children, the way stress is managed during pregnancy, the way food is introduced, the way responsibility is trusted. Because childhood is not only shaping behavior, it's shaping the brain itself. And maybe that's the deeper lesson hidden inside Japanese parenting. Not pressure, not perfection, but connection, stability, and trust. Start small today and watch what your child becomes. If you found this helpful, share it with another parent and subscribe for more simple ideas that make a big difference. See you in the next video.